Bonjour les élèves, j'espère que vous allez bien. Aujourd'hui, on va apprendre quelques mots, quelques vocabulaires, le vocabulaire concernant l'ordinateur. Today, we are going to do this lesson specially on computers. On utilise les ordinateurs tous les jours. These days, we use computers every day. So, l'ordinateur, the word for computer is l'ordinateur. Je travaille sur mon ordinateur. I am working on my computer. Je travaille sur mon ordinateur. So, as we have learned many prepositions by now, à, au, à, la, similarly, devant, derrière. So, there is also this preposition sur, which means on. We can also say, où est la tasse? Where is the cup? The cup is on the table. So, la tasse est sur la table. Sur. But je travaille sur mon ordinateur means I am working on my computer. So, the first word regarding the computers. Allumer un ordinateur. Allumer is to switch on. Allumer means also to light. Allumette. Allumette is the word for the matchbox, from which comes to light. Allumer. Allumer le feu means to light a fire. Allumer un ordinateur means to switch on a computer. And similarly, éteindre. Éteindre means to switch off. Éteindre means switch off. J'allume mon ordinateur means I am switching on my computer. Quel est le mot de passe de ton ordinateur? What is the passcode or password for your computer? Mot de passe. Mot de passe. Quel est le mot de passe de ton ordinateur? What is the password of your computer? So now we are in a very advanced stage where we can form questions with quel. We can also use some adjective possessive like ton ordinateur, mon ordinateur. Ton ordinateur means your ordinateur, your computer. Mon ordinateur means my computer. So, on crée un dossier. So, on a computer, on crée un dossier. Créer un dossier means to create a folder. On crée un dossier IGNOU. IGNOU, it is the acronym for our university, Indira Gandhi National Open University. On crée un dossier IGNOU. We are going to create a folder IGNOU. Composer une lettre sur l'ordinateur. Composer une lettre sur l'ordinateur. So, to write a letter on a computer. Composer une lettre sur ordinateur. Où est la lettre? Où est la lettre? Where is the letter? La lettre est dans le dossier IGNOU. La lettre est dans le dossier IGNOU. So here again, I would just remind you, just note down how we are using the prepositions, how we are formulating the questions, how we are asking questions using où, quel, and also remember the preposition sur l'ordinateur, mais dans le dossier. Dans le dossier means in the folder. On sauve le document dans le dossier. We save a document in the folder. So, these are the words which we are going to use in an office space while working on a computer. On sauve le document dans le dossier. On efface un document. On efface un document. Efface means to erase. On efface un document. On sauve le document dans le dossier. On efface un document. On retrouve la lettre dans la corbeille. Dans la corbeille. So, I am going to give you two words. As you know, corbeille is recycle bin, but trash is called also la poubelle. La poubelle. So, for the trash, we have two words. On trouve la lettre dans la corbeille. Corbeille is recycle bin, and la poubelle is the trash can or the dustbin. La poubelle. Où est ton ordinateur? Where is your computer? Où est ton ordinateur? Mon ordinateur est chez moi. My computer is at home. We have learned in our previous lesson, chez moi, chez toi, chez lui, chez elle, chez nous, chez vous, chez elle, chez eux. EIX, their home. So, mon ordinateur est chez moi. Je garde mon ordinateur sur la table dans le salon. Meaning, I keep my computer on the table in the drawing room. So, in the previous lesson, we have also learned different rooms of a house or of an apartment. Le salon, la salle à manger, la salle de bain, la chambre, le balcon, le jardin. Je garde mon ordinateur sur la table dans le salon. Mon ordinateur. So, once again, like in our previous lesson, we have talked about adjective possessive. Adjective possessive in French and in English, possessive adjectives. So, what are the possessive adjectives? Possessive adjectives indicate to whom an object or an idea belongs to. Mon ordinateur means my computer. Mon idée, my idea. Similarly, we have also seen in our previous lessons ta chemise, like your shirt. So, French possessive adjectives are used in front of nouns to indicate to whom or to what those nouns belong. They are considerably more complicated than English possessive adjectives because French has several forms depending on the gender and the number of the possessed noun. I repeat, French possessive adjectives are used in front of nouns to indicate to whom or to what those nouns belong. For example, mon livre means my book, which means the book belongs to me. They are considerably more complicated than English possessive adjectives because French has different forms depending on the gender and number of the possessed noun. For example, I gave you right now this example of mon livre means one single book belongs to me. But in case of multiple books, mes livres, mes livres. So, now you will see some examples. Où est mon frère? Where is my brother? Où est mon frère? C'est ma chemise. Ce sont mes livres. Ce sont mes livres. Où est mon frère? Where is my brother? C'est ma chemise. It's my shirt. Ce sont mes livres. These are my books. So you see, according to the gender of the noun frère being a masculine word, mon frère, whereas chemise being a feminine word, ma chemise. So mon frère, ma chemise. But now in the third case, livre is in plural. So in spite of being masculine or feminine, there is also the number aspect which is very important for the possessive adjectives or l'adjectif possessif in French. So, ce sont mes livres. Ce sont mes livres. Où est ton frère? Where is your brother? So, if I am asking a girl, Catherine, where is your brother? Is où est ton frère? Even if I am asking the same question to a boy, Jacques, it will be the same question. Où est ton frère? And now, if I am asking one girl, Catherine, where is your shirt? Où est ta chemise? And if I am asking the same question to Jacques, où est ta chemise? It's going to be the same adjective possessive. Why? Because the shirt is a feminine word and it's a singular number, so it will have the same possessive adjective. Ce sont tes livres. Ce sont tes livres means these are your books. Ce sont tes livres. These are your books. Now, c'est la chemise de Catherine. C'est sa chemise. C'est la sœur de Pierre. C'est sa sœur. This particular example I am giving only to elucidate one aspect of French adjective possessives. C'est la chemise de Catherine. Here, the owner of the shirt is Catherine, a woman. So, in both cases, c'est la chemise de Catherine, we might get confused since it's a girl and the chemise is also a feminine word. C'est la chemise. But you have to also remember that in English, the possessive adjectives are very different in this particular case. Just see how. C'est la chemise de Catherine means it's a shirt that belongs to Catherine. In English, we say it's her shirt. But this her refers to Catherine and not to the shirt. But in French, c'est sa chemise, it's her shirt. This sa actually indicates chemise. So, if you see the next example, it will be much clearer. Like, c'est la sœur de Pierre. C'est la sœur de Pierre means it's Pierre, or Pierre generally translates as Peter, but we'll just stick to the French name. C'est la sœur de Pierre, it's Peter's sister, and in English we will say it's his sister, not her sister. It's his sister. But in French, since the word sœur is a feminine word, it becomes c'est sa sœur. So, I hope it's now a bit clear how the gender and the number of the subject actually indicates which possessive adjective we use in French. Like for example, similarly, ce sont les crayons de Catherine. Ce sont les crayons de Catherine. Ce sont ses crayons. These are the pencils of Catherine. These are her pencils. Ce sont les crayons de Pierre. Ce sont les crayons de Pierre. These are the pencils of Pierre. Ce sont ses crayons. These are his pencils. So, here again you see the word ses crayons does not correspond to the English adjective possessive. In singular form, in French, the possessive adjectives correspond more to Hindi language, mera and meri. Similarly, in the same notion in French, the singular number can be easier for the Hindi speaking people because it is more or less the same possessive adjectives. However, for the English speaking people and in English language, the possessive adjectives are completely different than the French one. And this particular example which I just told you, I will just tell it to you again. Ce sont les crayons de Catherine. These are Catherine's pencil. These are her pencils. And ce sont les crayons de Pierre. Ce sont ses crayons. These are his pencils. So, this his and her in English refers to the person who owns it and not to the object or the idea that they are qualifying. So, remember, now you have to also pay attention to another aspect. Say, ces is the plural of ce, cet and cet. You remember in the previous lessons which we have done much earlier, we talked about ce, cet and cet. Ce is, these are the adjective demonstrative. You kind of demonstrate this. Ce livre means this book. Cette école means this school. Cette chemise means this chemise. So, if you remember, so this ces refers to these, like in the previous example, ces crayons. Ces crayons means these pencils, and ces, ces is the plural of adjective possessive of son and sa. So, if you go to the previous example once again, you will see ce sont les crayons de Catherine. Here, when you are saying as adjective possessive, ces crayons, that is completely different than these pencils which starts with a c'est in French, in English si. So, ses, ces crayons is adjective possessive, ces, c'est is adjective demonstrative. Just remember this difference. Now, we are going to talk about certain situations where once again we are going to use some words which we have learned in this lesson, and we will also learn a few new words. Dans la bibliothèque, les élèves travaillent sur l'ordinateur. Dans la bibliothèque, les élèves travaillent sur l'ordinateur. Travailler sur l'ordinateur is to work on computers. Dans la bibliothèque means in the library, the students are working on computer. Dans la bibliothèque, les élèves travaillent sur l'ordinateur. Ils consultent aussi les livres. Ils consultent aussi les livres. They are also consulting books. La bibliothèque, what does it mean? We have used this word even before in our past lesson, in which we said dans la bibliothèque, but at that time la bibliothèque meant the study room in an apartment or in a house. But la bibliothèque means the library. Dans la bibliothèque, où sont les livres? Les livres sont à la bibliothèque. The books are at the library. So, dans la bibliothèque, inside the library, les élèves travaillent sur l'ordinateur. The students are working on computer. Ils consultent aussi les livres. They are also consulting, they are also taking references from the books. Il consulte aussi les livres. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans la bibliothèque? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? What are there in the library? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans la bibliothèque? So, another form of question making that we are learning. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans la bibliothèque? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans la bibliothèque? Il y a des livres, des magazines et des manuscrits dans la bibliothèque. Il y a des livres, des magazines et des manuscrits dans la bibliothèque. There are books, magazines and manuscripts in the library. Books, you know, magazines means the periodicals which comes out at certain interval, and manuscripts means handwritten documents from the ancient times primarily. So, il y a des livres, des magazines et des manuscrits dans la bibliothèque, mais il y a aussi des ordinateurs. Mais il y a aussi des ordinateurs. But there are also the computers. Comment on va trouver un livre dans une bibliothèque? Comment on va trouver un livre dans une bibliothèque? How do we find out a book in a library? You know, une bibliothèque means a library. A library has thousands of books. So, how do you find out one book in a huge collection of thousands of books? Comment on trouve or comment on va trouver un livre dans une bibliothèque? On trouve un livre par le catalogue. On trouve un livre par le catalogue. We find out a book by the catalog. So, you know what a catalog is. Catalog is where you have a series of objects in some order. It can be alphabetical order, it can be subject wise, it can be even a product catalog that we talk of these days so much. So, on trouve un livre par le catalogue. We find a book by the catalog. As I have said before, that now every time we are going to express anything with a preposition, please remember in which context we are using the preposition. For example, par means by in English, but par can also be through. So, on va trouver un livre par le catalogue means also we find out a book through the catalog or on the catalog. So, par has multiple translations in English. So, try to remember in which context which preposition is being used. On trouve un livre par le catalogue. Aujourd'hui, these days, ces jours, but since we don't know many words in French, we are just going to use this word aujourd'hui, today. Les catalogues sont en ligne. Les catalogues sont en ligne. The catalogs are online. So, in the older times, we used to have smaller drawers where you would have small paper insertions in which you will find the entire list of the books that is in a library, that are in a library. But these days, les catalogues sont en ligne. So, remember this word en ligne. En ligne means online. Aujourd'hui, les catalogues sont en ligne. On consulte le catalogue sur un ordinateur. On consulte le catalogue sur un ordinateur. We consult the catalog on a computer. On consulte le catalogue sur un ordinateur. We consult or we access the catalog on a computer. On cherche un livre par le titre ou par l'auteur. On cherche un livre par le titre ou par l'auteur. We look for a book either by title or by the author. Or by the author. Un auteur means an écrivain. So, these days we have learned many new words. Un auteur is author, un écrivain is writer, un journaliste is a journalist, un auteur célèbre means a famous writer. So, Today we have talked about bibliothèque, today we have talked about computers, and we have also underlined a series of new words, and with this I would also add one more new expression. Le livre est rangé sur les étagères. Le livre est rangé sur les étagères. The book is kept on the shelves. The shelves is les étagères. Les magazines sont sur la table. Les magazines sont sur la table de consultation. The magazines are on the reference table, on the table where we keep the reference material. So, les étagères, la table de consultation, these are the words which we also use in a French library. So, with this, I would request you, before we conclude this session, do some research online. Cherchez en ligne. En ligne is online. Cherchez en ligne. Cherchez les mots techniques de l'ordinateur. Try to find out some technical words related to the computer. So, with this, bon courage, bonne continuation et à la prochaine. Au revoir.